Hi everyone, I'm Bishop Orley. Welcome to Cyber Witch, my channel about the occult, demonology, and my life as a professional witch here in New Orleans. So if that sounds good to you, please hit like and subscribe for new videos every week. Today we're talking about curses, hexes. Sometimes we call it putting work on someone, bewitching, having black magic, malefic spells. How can you know if you have a curse on you or if it's something else that's affecting you? What are all the different signs? What to look out for, what to pay attention to, how to figure out what's actually going on and the cause of it. And this is something that I help people with all the time in my work, counseling people in their situations dealing with magic. So if you do need help from me after watching this video, please check out my website linked in the video description if you want me to look into your personal situation and give you some help or some advice. But let's get into all the different signs of what could occur if you have a curse and how to figure out what is causing it and how you could take care of that. And I have definitely been cursed a lot. And by a lot, I mean like a lot. And it's kind of amazing that I'm fine considering the extent of what has come after me. And I in no way say this as a means of trying to like brag about it or something, because it actually totally sucks having curses thrown at you all the time, and I definitely wouldn't want that to be happening. And it's just something that is par for the course because of what I do. It's a lot more common for people to find someone in some like witch group on the internet, in some Discord server or whatever, get in a fight, start actually doing like spells on one another and have situations like this happen. Whereas before, you know what I'm saying, like something like this would be more few and far between. You would have to go out and find someone to do this. It wouldn't be like so many people are aware of spells and witchcraft and have access to being able to know how to even curse somebody. So it's kind of vast now, the ways that this could occur and the easiness that people have the resources to do such things. And so when you're determining if you are cursed, there's so many things that could definitely happen to you. Have cursed me a lot. There's probably people cursing me right now. It's just what happens to me. There are going to be people that are harder to curse than other people. There's a lot of reasons for that as well, about why it will be harder to put some malefic spell on one person than another. And I'm not going to go into all those details in this video, but I'm just kind of like a monster, I guess. So that being said, what we're going to do is talk about a time when I got totally fucked up from a curse, and then another time when I was fine and what actually happened, so you can use this as a way to determine what's going on with you and navigating that as well. So both of these instances happened around the same couple of years, not that long ago, like within the past decade, very much at a time when I was doing a lot of very, very, what I would call reckless demonic summoning. And I really wasn't taking care of myself at all. I was getting all into different like substances and not being healthy and living in a literal warehouse that was dirty. It didn't have like a real bathroom. and I was showering at the gym. So I was just like in this nasty situation, and I was living like this. It wasn't a situation that I had planned to be living in, and the person who had brought me in that situation had told me it was going to be some whole other situation, and I trusted that person, and then lo and behold, you find yourself having to shower at the gym. And so this is years ago. Obviously, I don't live like that anymore, and if you do live like that, you can get out of that situation. Like, look at me now. I don't have to do that anymore. It's awesome. I have a place to live that I love, and it's great. So that being said, I was really not taking good care of myself, and my life was very, very unstable. And it just so happened that I got caught up in some kind of black magic internet drama as what was going on at the time. And some people said something to somebody else and got a group of people who were like just wanting to curse me and a bunch of my associates at the time with some really deadly witchcraft spells. And it wasn't some sort of like made up fantasy, but I even had people like send me audio recordings of the people and like screenshots and like all this stuff to like prove to me it had happened. And it was this whole thing. And I got so fucked out from this, you guys. Like, I got so sick. I was in so much pain, like in my stomach. I had to go to the emergency. I had to get all this medicine, and it was really, really, really bad. And it was one of the times that I feel like I was probably the most sick ever in my whole life. And it was this whole group of people. I don't think they even exist anymore, but this was quite some time ago. And eventually what had happened was I got better from it, but a big part of why I even got better is because those people found out that the whole reason why that they had cursed me and the other people was lies. So they like undid what they had done. And so I was okay from that. And I was really weak during that period of time. I wasn't taking good care of myself. And I also was doing really like stupid magic that was very ill-informed, just thinking I could just do like whatever I wanted and thinking I was like super powerful and I could just do whatever with demons and without even thinking or knowing about what I was doing. And in the end, you end up even disrespecting those spirits by going so deep in a way that's so ill-informed. So that being said, I got so sick from that when that group of people cursed me. But this other story is so wild. I had a guy hire me for a consultation, and that's where people go on my website and you book a time to talk to me, and I help you with your situation in spirituality and witchcraft and help teach you and guide you. And so this guy hired me to talk to me, and what he told me was that he had been trying to curse me and kill me every day for a year and could not do it, and that he was impressed that he couldn't do it and wanted to talk to me about it. And so this really was wild. It was nice that he paid me to tell me this instead of just kind of weirding me out. I do appreciate that. I thought that was nice, I guess. And he told me this whole story, and it was just the strangest thing because the reason why he was cursing me was also some whole made-up story that his ex-girlfriend had some issue with me. Like, I didn't actually know her, but she was someone that used to make YouTube videos and just like decided she hated me, told her boyfriend that I was like some ghost attacking him and his mom's family. And they spent a year trying to destroy me with magic. And I didn't even know like who these people were. And so it was nice getting to actually like talk to him and talk to his mom and be like, hey, I don't actually know you. And that was super weird. But at that time, it didn't affect me. And I know this is someone that has power because this guy had a lot going on for him. And that is a big aspect of power. And clearly knew what he was doing as well. And so that is why he wanted to talk to me about like what was going on. And it was the fact that I think the spirits interceded in a sense. I think it was actually twofold. One, I was in that situation where like I was taking better care of myself at that point. Years had passed. I was living in a house. I was trying to be healthier, and I was being a lot more careful with the work I was doing, taking my time with things, doing better research into what I was doing. And also, I think the spirits interceded in that situation because it was just so extreme and it didn't turn into anything. But those people were having their own very intense paranormal experiences as if I was like some kind of poltergeist type situation in their home. So very, very curious because yeah, like I said, I didn't know who they were. So absolutely fascinating. So they were trying to curse me for a year and that didn't work. So I didn't have any signs of that. And yeah, so what are the signs though that could happen if you have a curse on you? And a lot of people will worry about it for reasons that may be just paranoia, or there could be someone that has done a curse on you. And I definitely don't want to make anyone become paranoid from watching this video, but to give you the tools to help identify the sources of these energies to figure out what it is. So the first thing that I typically ask people is what we were just talking about, which is there a reason about why a witch would have cursed you? Like, it's so funny to even think that we live in this world where this is something that almost seems normal to ask now. But yeah, like, do you actually know of someone, and would something have happened to make that person want to curse you? Or maybe someone in your family. And that is usually one of the most important places to start. I think that it's very delicate because people also talk about this idea of generational curses. And that's where there's like some heavy curse upon your family line. And I would say be really careful with that, unless it's something that your family has already known about before you. It's very easy to get that idea in your head and start just projecting that onto your life. So be really careful with that. And it's important to think about all the different ways that the symptoms could show up of being cursed. So here's some signs to look out for. The first one is bad luck. So you know what bad luck is, but you just can't get a break. You know what I'm saying? Like, you keep trying to do things and it just never works out. You keep applying for stuff and it just doesn't happen. You keep trying to get to your goal and you miss every time and you just don't understand. And you could even get like, caught out in the rain all the time, always getting stuck behind the train, always getting stuck at that red light, never having the thing that you want in stock at the store. All these kind of little things that just build up all around you, where it just seems like nothing is going your way. And this is going on for quite some time. So not just having a bad day, but it's just like that all the time. And accidents, so bad luck leading to even worse things, like something really bad happening, people getting hurt, hurting themselves, making some kind of stupid move and really messing themselves up. Problems with your home. So it could be something that affects not just your own self and your experience, but it could be affecting where you live. I've had it where it was problems in the bathroom. That's a great place where dirty energy can come through. So that often can be a place where curses can manifest in the bathroom area. So that problems with your plumbing, leaking, just weird stuff happening to your toilet, the water constantly running in a weird way that's annoying and gets on your nerves and kind of grates away at you. Infestations. So I also experienced a really terrible curse where I had so many fleas for like years and years, and it was just such a nightmare, and it almost seemed impossible to get rid of the fleas. And it was a curse, and it was all connected to a person, and I had to just disconnect from that person, and I got away from the infestation. And so that was really, really bizarre, because you try to mitigate the problem and do all the things that seem normal to fix it, but you still have the problem happening to your house, or it turns into something else, or it affects the neighborhood around where you live, and bad things are happening there. Crime, fighting, fires, any kind of other problems. All that could affect anything around you if you're cursed. It's not just going to be like your own personal life, but it will affect your whole world around you. So tiredness, your energy is just gone. It doesn't matter how healthy you're being, how much rest you're getting, what you eat, or anything. It wouldn't make sense for you to be tired. With a lot of these things, it's super, super important to think like, are you sick? Is something medically wrong with you that you need to figure out? And maybe you're just thinking you're cursed, but you're missing some vitamins or something, and it's affecting you in this way. So don't just assume because you have any of these things happening that it is because of a curse. There should be some reason about why you are cursed. And we will get into all of this. But if there's a reason, and you know, like this, I'm cursed, or somebody probably cursed me, or one of the other things that we're going to get into, then maybe feeling tired all the time or having bad things happen in your house all the time is because of a curse. Or maybe it's because you're just not paying attention to what's going on around you, and things are slipping because you need to focus more on what you're doing. You're getting too distracted by like being on your phone all the time, looking at other things, being too caught up in your head, and you're making mistakes. You're getting sloppy. You're not eating right. You're not resting enough, and just blaming it on outside sources. Very, very often, people will have a lot of these kind of symptoms, and it's totally your own fault. But like, we don't want to look at ourselves in this way and want to blame it on some other thing, especially if we're super into the paranormal. But it's so much easier to just first take a look, like, is it me that's causing this? Because if it is, and you can take care of that first, it's going to be way easier for you to just take care of the actual problem than be looking outside of yourself to try to fix it. and making yourself all paranoid or scared. So always make sure that you have covered all the bases of, is it something that you are actually causing because of your lifestyle? And pay attention to that. So it can also cause miscommunications between people where you're trying to get your point across, but people just cannot understand you whatsoever. And you try, but it's like you're talking through a wall and they just cannot decipher what it is that you're trying to say. And you can't understand what other people are trying to say, and everything just seems confusing. That could be a symptom as well from all of this. And that goes into bad ideas. So having a plan to do something that's really dumb, really stupid, something that's not going to benefit you in any way, really bizarre ideas that are unhealthy or not taking your life in the direction that you want it to actually go, and you get really caught up in that idea and invest everything into that, like maybe some project or something, and you think it's amazing, but it ends up being like this whole really stupid waste of your time because it wasn't something you even wanted to do, but you have this idea that you're being basically compelled to do this thing that's going to just take up a whole bunch of your time and energy that's not actually to your benefit. And this goes into irrational behavior from yourself, but then other people around you. So people just wilding out, people not making any sense, doing things that you don't understand, and maybe even acting really goofy or bizarre and coming around you and doing that. And that could be really dangerous as well. So with all these things, you definitely want to be careful, especially if you are having a lot of these things occur and feeling hopeless is what ends up happening, where you don't know what to do. You're just so down from all these things. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do any of the things that you love. And you're just caught up in your head. All of that could have a logical reason in your life for occurring. Are you avoiding something? Is there something that you are supposed to do that you know you should be doing and you're not doing that? That's the first place to start. There does not necessarily need to be a witch or spell worker, whatever you want to call it, that has done an actual spell on you to affect you in an energetic and spiritual way. And this is what is known as the evil eye, and it could be called many other things, but the idea behind it is that people possess an innate psychic energy where they can cause harm to others with looking at them and having ill intentions. And so this is something that definitely can affect people. And I've had some really curious experiences with this kind of stuff, because there was a girl one time who came over to my house, and I could tell something was up with it because it was one of those people where they act like they want to be your friend, but you can tell that they don't really actually like you, but they just feel like that they could benefit their life from being your friend. And so I had her over, and her evil eye necklace broke when she came into my room. And I thought that was really, really weird because I was wanting to be friends with her, and it turned out that she did have bad intentions toward me that I found out later. And so I thought it was really interesting that her evil eye necklace broke in my room. So I guess my spirits attacked it or her energy from having so much evil eye at me, like, made it like implode on her, like being surrounded by all my spirit stuff. And so that was very interesting. I've even had it happen with other kinds of luck talismans. For example, putting a horseshoe over the door is something that people will do to protect their home from evil and bad energy curses entering in. And one time when I was at some other place, there was this really bad man, and he came in and the horseshoe hit him in the head when he came in. And this guy was like some junkie guy that I definitely didn't want around. And so that was a long time ago, but yeah, it like literally like hit him. It like fell, and that thing had been up there for quite some time, like maybe like a year. So it was very strange how that happened. And I was like, okay, you probably need to go. And so the evil eye can be treated a lot more simply, of course, because no one's actually doing like a spell on you, at you. They're not really getting spirits involved. You can treat that with spiritual cleansing, with talismans to protect yourself, and by working on your own spiritual practices. It is really important to think about all the different ways that this kind of curse energy could come into your life, because it's not necessarily going to be from people. Sometimes it's going to come from the land you are living on. And oh my goodness, does that ever make a really big difference? So going back to the thing I was telling y'all about before, when I lived in that wretched warehouse where I didn't have a real bathroom and was showering at the gym. Well, it used to be a tobacco drying factory. And a long time ago, there was a horrible fire and like 100 people died in there. And that place was so haunted and so dark feeling. The energy was heavy. And I, after a while, would see the spirits of the people standing in there. I talked about this on some other video a long time ago, but I had a whole experience of the door closing and getting trapped. Like, it was, there was like a bathroom with a sink and a toilet, but no shower. So that's why I was showering at the gym. So anyway, I was going to that bathroom and the doorknob handle had broken, and I got the door like closed behind me. I was trying to not close it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, don't close the door all the way because the doorknob is kind of broken. And I didn't close it all the way. And I go in and then it closes. And I'm in there and I don't have a phone. And I don't know when anyone is going to come back. And I'm just in this room, this tiny little room. And then I see all on the door are scorch marks from the fire where the people passed away. And the door is still like the same door. And I was in there for a really long time before anybody came, like hours. That place's energy would require so much to deal with. Just as when I've lived on places that are old battlegrounds, like I don't know if you can do something for every place. You can create areas of protection, but to cleanse some place that has had such a very ingrained history, it's really better to just create like a sanctuary for yourself among that than try to get rid of all of that. And there might be things where you live that you don't even know about. The spirits of the home that you lived in from before you, and who knows what happened there. All of that could affect you in those kind of curse symptoms, especially if people passed away in the home in some kind of tragic way and their energy is creating a miasma of heavy, low energy around you that feeds off of you because it hasn't been cleared away. And so there's a lot of different cleansings and things you could do to help clear your home. Definitely check out the spiritual cleansing video that I have on this channel as well as a resource for that. And here's another one. Maybe you're making this happen. Are you doing spells? And do you think you know what you're doing? And maybe there's possibly a chance that you're attracting other things to you that are not just what you're calling, because that always happens. So that's something to really pay attention to. All of us always have something to learn. So it's really naive to think that you must know exactly what you're doing and that there's no possible way that what you're doing might be ill-informed and either directly causing curse-like symptoms to happen to yourself from the spirit that you're calling, most likely either attracting other things to you by doing your ritual and spell work, especially if you have any bodily fluids or anything that's related to like the cemetery, that could really attract these kind of energies to you. And also, if you think you are contacting a spirit and it is not actually the spirit that you thought that it was, and it's something else that's masquerading as that spirit to feed off of you. Maybe it's giving you some like little rewards along the way to string you along, because this totally happens to people. And this happens when you're doing some ritual work that is very complicated and advanced and you're new, and you find some way to do it in like an easy kind of way. And this is what ends up happening to people, because there's a reason why it takes a lot of work to contact super powerful beings. And there's a reason why that people who feel like they don't have to do anything at all and can just contact super powerful beings constantly all the time without doing any kind of spiritual work or work on themselves or any kind of training, their lives usually are very chaotic and not what they want it to be. So that is very, very important to analyze in your own self and just be really honest with yourself. Like, there is no point in lying to yourself about your own practice, because you're stopping yourself from your own personal evolution. And it's actually very exciting to look at things in a new way and to expand what you're doing and become stronger at it, especially if things aren't working. And this is something that is really helpful when it comes to how you're practicing spirituality, which is documenting what you're doing. Have a journal or some sort of text file that you record what you're doing, document what you're doing to see if it's actually working or if what you are doing is causing this stuff to happen to you. It's totally okay to get into a method of spiritual practice, try a bunch of stuff out, try different spells, and then decide, you know what, this wasn't working in the way that I wanted it to. I'm going to try a different way, maybe even with the same spirits, but in a different way. So pay attention to that. And you could also bring things back from going somewhere. So the cemetery, I mean, that's a pretty obvious one. Any kind of place where there is some sort of energy that's very intense, you can bring back spirits from that, even spirits connected to the land, like not necessarily the dead, but just nature spirits connected to places. If you have a very deep connection that is forged there, or if they find you curious and want to come back with you, if you take something from there that could cause these things to happen, just as objects, right? So the obvious being having some haunted object that you've obtained and procured in some manner, and maybe it's not what the person said it was, or maybe it's become like some kind of portal to strange energy because you perceive it as having the ability to do that, as well as things that come from the earth. So crystals, stones, the earth itself. Quartz crystal in particular is really fabulous at storing energy. So quartz crystals from some place could have the energy of it within them, and then you've brought that home to you, as well as candles and candle wax. They will absorb the energy of what's around them. So if you're buying candles, you want to make sure that you're getting it from a place where the energy is really good, where it's prosperous and nice and clean, and they have good business, because that's going to all go into your candles. That energy absorbs it. And that, of course, if you're burning it to the spirits, then you're burning and offering that energy from that place. And that could even cause curse-like symptoms, because the spirits are unhappy with the offerings you've given them, because they contain the energy from a place that had bad vibes or something. But of course, you could always cleanse them yourself, or just be careful of where you're getting things from. And then, of course, antique shops, thrift stores, you could bring back something that was connected to an event, and it contains either the energetic current of that event that you're bringing then into your life, or maybe a person who passed away was very fond of it, and now you have essentially like stirred them in a way that irritated them, depending on how you're using the object. And they think it's theirs and are now causing problems for you because of that. And the other aspect too is, have you done something that could have been disrespectful in some location to either the land, the spirits, nature, people, and that itself has irritated the spirit realm around you, and they're trying to give you a message that they are unhappy, and you need to work on that from your reality, going through these curse-like experiences. And it's very easy to attract these vampiric energies to ourselves, especially if we're in situations that are very unfortunate, where there's a lot of sadness, fighting, stress, problems, sickness, people being really negative, people not taking care of themselves and being filthy. All of that stuff will really attract this curse-like energy into your life that's not necessarily from some witch out there that's cursed you. But most often when I get into the readings that I do and the consultations that I do with the clients that go on my website for me to help them with witchcraft and guidance, it's usually this kind of stuff where people have unintentionally brought the circumstances into their life themselves and are worried that someone has cursed them because they know that that is something that could happen, and they're worried about having upset someone. Very often, even if someone has thrown a curse, it's not going to last your entire life. It's usually some temporary thing, and then it goes away because you rebound from it. But it really, really depends on so many nuances of what kind of spell work was done, what spirits have been called, so many things, and who you are and what your life is. So it's really important to not be trying to make it worse by living a life where you're not in control, you're inebriated all the time, you're succumbing to your delusions, you're using substances constantly and not keeping a state of mind where you're cognizant of what's going on around you and making logical and sensible choices for yourself and really taking care of who you are. It's very essential in order to not attract those kind of energies on their own, because if you are just simply doing those things, it could already start happening to you without anyone cursing you. You're essentially cursing yourself with your behavior, because there are so many energies all around us that are just ready to feed on you if you're being down on yourself all the time. If you're not trying and giving up, they'll come in. And so you really need to pay attention to the choices that you make, because you can change things. If you realize, okay, there isn't anything that I'm actually doing that's causing this, then take the initiative to do work to make things to get it better. So are you causing spiritual problems for yourself with what you're doing? Are you paying attention to the things that you need to take care of in your life and having that be what you focus on? Make sure that you have the attitude that you're open-minded to not just doing spiritual work to ask for things, but to develop a relationship with the spirits themselves over time, and the spirits of your home and everything around you, so you can establish that connection to them, and that will also help create a more peaceful environment. And so it's also important to think about, maybe you're not actually cursed, and maybe this was something that actually needed to happen in your life to make it better long term, because magic and the spirits don't just cause change to happen through only good things happening. It doesn't work like that. It's not just a whole bunch of good things happening along your road to change. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be ordeals that you go through, but that is worth it, and it takes time. So very often these things happen as a way to get you where you need to go long term. And I had a really great question from one of my clients a few weeks ago, which was, what book would I recommend to people who are interested in seriously developing their spirituality? And if you want to fortify yourself and be strong in your spiritual practice, I definitely want to recommend this book, Entering the Desert by Craig Williams. It's really fantastic for everyone who wants to learn different spells that will actually train you in spirituality, and also restructure your life, elevate your entire practice. So I highly recommend this book, and I'll put a link to it in the video description. Definitely recommend it to everyone at any level on your spiritual practice. So for beginners, and then also people that are even very advanced, it's definitely one of my favorite books ever, and I really enjoyed reading it. So I'll put the link to that below. And I'll also put the link to my website. If you would like to reach me, you can book an appointment with me to look into your situation, or if you want a reading from me, or to check out my different spiritual services and my online video courses that teach about how to conjure spirits and develop your psychic abilities as well. So that's all linked down below. Thank you so much to all of my patrons and channel members. And if there's some signs of being cursed that I may have missed that you want to add to this conversation, please let me know in the comments. Please subscribe if you are new, and give this video a like for a little kiss for the algorithm for me. And I'll see you next time. Bye.